Well, the largest affordable housing initiative ever passed by Vermont lawmakers is about to show some results. In Montpelier, Governor Scott announcing today the sale of $37 million worth of state bonding. All of that money is going to go toward construction of new housing in every corner of the state. One of the first dozen projects is in White River Junction, a new 30-unit apartment complex on Sykes Mountain Road. It's an $8 million project that is slated to open this summer and will offer lower priced rents thanks to the state grant.
These proceeds will be awarded by the Vermont Housing Conservation Board, VHCB, to create 550 to 650 new homes statewide over the next 2 to 3 years.
This housing is being created in a region of the state with a 2.9% vacancy rate, so very, very low. And for affordable units, we're at 0 to 1% vacancy rate.
Now, Governor Scott calls affordable housing essential to retaining a productive workforce, but housing analysts say Vermont needs to build up to 5,000 new units to meet demand. New York